And here's Andrea Dovizioso. He hasn't scored any points for the last 3 races, Andrea Dovizioso. Bad luck in Germany, had a tyre problem with 2 crashes before then. He's qualified 5th fastest on that second road, former 125 and 250cc winner here.
Nick, I'm down here on the grid with Colin Edwards. He's having a good look round at the conditions now. Colin, not ideal for the start of the race today.
Lovely Paradise Island, what would we do without it?
I guess it's just going to be a case of waiting until just before the start between making any decision on tyres.
I think that decision's already been made, you know. I mean, we don't have any more time. We're run out.
Okay, well, good luck this afternoon.
Colin Edwards looking very, very tense indeed. A former winner here in his World Superbike Championship days. He's been second here in 2004 and 2007. He's currently lying 5th in the World Championship. 2 4th places.
Nick, I'm down on the grid now with 8 times is right, isn't it, Phil? 8 times world champion Phil Reed. You just had a quick word with James Tozen. What do you think of the conditions today?
Well, it's very difficult to decide. You know, it's a bit of a, rolling the dice. But I would say start with slicks and hope it doesn't really rain. But to start with wets, I think, is a mistake because they could cut up so easily. You know, but the lucky man is going to win here, who chooses the right tyre. But it's going to be really, really exciting, to watch.
Well, thanks for that, Phil, and thanks for talking to us.
Phil Reed, 8 times world champion, 125, 250, 500cc. Good to see him here. Nigel Mansell, the Formula 1 world champion. Prince Harry's here as well. I think Lee Westwood, the golfer's here. So it's been a cracking weekend. Hope they've enjoyed the racing. Certainly the weather hasn't been a great help. This is Tony Elias. He's finished 6th in the last 2 races, Tony Elias, so he's in a bit of form, but he really won't want weather like this. So keep stressing. The riders either want it wet or they want it dry. They don't want it like it is at the moment. And this will be interesting to see Paul Butler, the race director, which way he declares the race, because that will have a big bearing on things, won't it, Ian?
Well, Colin's saying that, the decision's already been made and he's going on slick, so I'm just having a look around now to see if everybody's doing the same. And I have to say, it looks like everybody's got carbon discs on, which means they've got slick tyres under the tyre warmers.
James Toseland had a tough old season, James Toseland, but he's qualified 9th, 3rd row of the grid. Massive support for him here with this enormous British crowd. Didn't get past the first bend last year in his MotoGP debut race in Great Britain when he crashed out at Redgate, and desperate to do well and desperate to hang on to his MotoGP ride. Not going to be easy for him. This is Randy de Prunier. Randy de Prunier also has a good record here. 250cc wins in 2005 and 2007. 6th in the MotoGP race last year, so decent form. 10th in the World Championship. 1 crash this season, and that was the last race. Big crash at the top of the hill, wasn't it? At, of course, Sachsenring in Germany. It's a wet race. And what does that mean, Ian?
Well, I can tell you that one person who has gone for steel discs, obviously we can't see the tyre under the tyre warmer, but there's definitely steel discs on the front of Casey Stoner's Ducati. So it looks like, we'll hang around and see what's under the tyre warmer when they take it off. But the steel disc would suggest that he's either running an intermediate, a cut slick, or a full wet.
Wow. We're going to have to wait to see those tyre warmers come off. Mika Kallio won the 250cc race here last year. I won't say fortuitously, he was in the right place at the right time, but Marco Simoncelli decided to push Alvaro Batista out of the way. They ran it wide, and Mika Kallio got through and won the race.
Livio Supo's down there, isn't he, with the Pramac team? That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Going down there to speak to some of the Ducati mechanics. We're just getting the British national anthem over the tannoys here.
They're practicing with James Toseland when he wins the race. Alex D'Angelis, some good performances by him. 2 second places in 06 and 07 in the 250cc class.
And he got his best result at the Sachsenring last time out with a 5th.
Yeah, he rode very well in the Sachsenring.
Chris Vermeulen then heads up, 13th position, heads up the 5th row of the grid. Chats quickly with crew chief Tom O'Kane.
Yeah, he was 3rd here a couple of years ago, Chris Vermeulen. He was 8th last year. He was 8th in the World Championship. You've got to say he's riding with a few injuries, Chris Vermeulen.
Yeah, damaged shoulder, damaged hip as well for the Australian. Loris Capirossi, 36 years of age. This is his 18th start at this circuit. He's been here for most of them. He's been 22 before this. This is the 23rd race and final one for a few years now. 5 minutes before the MotoGP race gets underway. And it's going to be very intriguing to see what the riders have chosen. Well, especially Casey Stoner, if he's got that steel front brake on, could just decided perhaps that it was it's cold enough to warrant this steel brake, and might not be able to get enough heat into the carbon fibre brake. Ian.
No, I'm down there now with Casey Stoner. They've just taken the tyre warmer off, and he's got a full wet on the front of that Ducati.
Well,
and, and it looks like a full wet on the rear as well.
That is unbelievable.
That is a massive gamble. What did Nigel Mansell say? What did Phil Reed say? They all said, man that makes the big gamble may be the man to win the race. But I mean, we're looking up from here, and I can just see some weather conditions, but that's a gamble.
What are the conditions like? If you just look at Nicolo Canepa on the 16th position on the grid. Ian, last word before the race gets underway?
Yeah, conditions are very similar to the start of the 125 race. The track is definitely dry. The rain is there, you can feel it in the air, but it's not so heavy. I think the guys who are on slicks and carbon brakes will be okay at the start of this race, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when the weather, unfortunately, inevitably changes.
Now, front and rear tyre choices of the riders at the front. Soft and soft for Rossi, a medium front for Pedrosa, and a soft rear for him. Soft and soft for Jorge Lorenzo, but as we've heard, the interest is with the Ducati of Casey Stoner. Will the rain, the spots of rain, get any heavier for them? Will there be a chance for Stoner to take full advantage of having those wet tyres on the bike? It's a big gamble for him, a big gamble for Ducati. Valentino Rossi looks very focused, very composed. He's got his old Bolly Gold back there, Isabella, after having had a baby. Will that provide the luck he needs to take victory in this British Grand Prix?
Here we go then. It's round 10 of the MotoGP World Championship. 30 laps of the Donington Park circuit, 4 kilometres, 2.5 miles. Great front row.
Rossi, Pedrosa, Lorenzo, all on slick tyres. Pedrosa just with that medium front to throw into the mix.
Casey Stoner, Andrea Dovizioso, Colin Ebert. What tyres is Stoner using?
Melandri, Elias, Toseland on row 3. Watch out for an electric start from Toseland.
Row 4, Randy De Punier, Mika Kallio, winner here last year, and Alex De Angelis.
Christopher Mullen, Loris Capirossi and Nicky Hayden on row 5, all experienced campaigners, could do something in these difficult conditions. And on the back row, Nico Canepa and Gabor Talmashi.
About the Loris Capirossi, he won here 19 years ago. That is a wet weather tyre, isn't it? Of that there is no doubt. That is a massive gamble by Casey Stoner as he chases a hat-trick of wins here.
The fact is, though, it's not a bad gamble because it's declared a wet race. He can come in and change tyres whenever he likes. Yep. If it rains, he's in the box seat. If it doesn't, well, he's going to have a long, hard race.
It certainly is.
And I suppose he thinks now, what is it? The gap between himself and Valentino Rossi in the championship currently stands at 28 points.
I guess the biggest problem Casey's going to have is these are soft Bridgestone wets they're running this weekend. And if the track stays dry on the early part of the race and then starts raining, then he's got an even bigger problem.
Yeah, because he can only change onto a dry tyre. Look at that attendance, 90,000 people in Donington Park. Brilliant. Is that a record, Nick?
That must be a record crowd for Donington Park. I would think almost in any event they've ever held here. Perhaps the Monsters of Rock back in the mid-80s when I was there, right at the front of the stage, bouncing up and down.
Oh, Danny Pedrosa, does he have a problem on the grid? Problem getting underway, and he's been helped by his team. Now, what does that mean? That surely means he gets a little bit of help. Well, he's got away okay. I think there's precedent of that he's allowed to join up in his original position.
So look there at Marco Melandri, there's Loris Capirossi.
Have you seen how late Stoner's leaving it to make the grid
is.
as well? He wants to get as much heat as he can into those brakes, into those tyres as well.
Gabor Talmashi through Coppice into Starkey Straight. It is a big gamble there by Casey Stoner. I don't think we can hide away from the fact, do you?
No, it's a massive gamble. On board with James Toseland, British rider, qualified in 9th position. It's quite good actually for Toseland this year. That's his equal best, same as in Catalonia and in Assen. He was hoping for more, but he'll be hoping for a top 6 finish above all here today.
Up through the Melbourne hairbend into Goddard's. Rossi in front of Jorge Lorenzo. So Andy de Prunier on the outside there. Here we go. This is the man in pole position, as we said. His 4th pole position of the season, his 4th Premier Class pole position at Donington Park. He's won here 7 times, 5 times in the Premier Class, once in the 125s and once in the 250s. There you go. Just got a little glimpse there of Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi, both on full slicks. It's Casey Stoner that's caused a surprise. Casey Stoner, 2nd row of the grid, 4th fastest is on wet weather tyres. He's taking a gamble on the weather. Okay, Donington Park, your last Grand Prix in the MotoGP class for 5 years. The lights turn to red. 30 laps of this Parkland circuit. British Grand Prix is underway. Great start by Rossi.
Very good start from him to get away from the line. It'll be tough for Stoner with the drag down to the first corner. And he's going to have a few riders go past him. Melandri, and they've all pretty much gone past him. Stoner down to about 10th position as we speak, going round Redgate, round Hollywood and into the Craner Curves for the first time. It's Rossi from Lorenzo in 3rd position. It looks like it's Tony Elias, and it is as Lorenzo takes over at the front. What a start from Elias, who's round the outside of Valentino Rossi. Elias into 2nd position. Brilliant start by the Spaniard.
Tony Elias and Jorge Lorenzo, the 2 Spaniards, they're not worried about the weather here anyway at all. Both of them so fierce in the Redgate corner, and Elias in 2nd place. Elias takes the lead from Lorenzo as they go into McLean's. What a big, big surprise!
And big spots on the camera lens as well down at McLean's, so there could be rain at the far end of the circuit. It's Elias from Lorenzo, Pedrosa, 3 Spaniards leading the British Grand Prix. Dovizioso 4th, Rossi 5th. Toseland has moved up into 8th position.
Down the Starkey straight, they come for the first time. They're going to break for the Foggy S's. Tony Elias leads the way. Jorge Lorenzo, there's Danny Pedrosa. Pedrosa, that familiar left leg goes out.
Pedrosa goes very, very wide into the S's. Well, he's going to just stymie it for his colleague. Andrea Dovizioso coming out of the S's. He went very, very deep, struggled to get the bike turned down towards Melbourne. Tony Elias leads the way.
Up the inside comes Valentino Rossi. Rossi gets up the inside of both the Repsol Hondas in one foul swoop as they come up towards Goddard's. So Rossi into 3rd place, but Tony Elias, what money would he have got him leading the leading the Grand Prix?
And the rain is definitely starting now in pit lane.
Well, that is
a good choice by Casey.
It may well have been. Elias leads the way from Lorenzo, Rossi in 3rd, Dovizioso in 4th, Tosen in 5th. Stoner is down in 13th position, but he's already on the wet tyres. This could be a very, very intriguing race indeed. Marco Melandri struggling with grip through Redgate.
Oh my golly, what a decision that could be by Casey Stoner. What a decision it is by Tony Elias. You can see the rain now on the camera lens as they come down through the old hairpin. This is going to be some difficult decisions time, but Elias leads.
Look at that wobble there from Dovizioso twice as he went through Swan's corner. Valentino Rossi was on the outside, and if Dovizioso had a big moment, look at the rain here. Surely that's big rain there, because you see it on the camera lens.
And of course, the biggest problem some of these teams have got is the second bike is set up as the first bike is set up in the dry. So they're working like Trojans down here, trying to change from a dry to a wet setup.
Stoner's holding his own at the moment with Canepa, who's in 12th position. Colin Edwards is just in behind him. I wonder if the likes of Edwards, Van Newland, Hayden and Talmashi have gone for the wet tyres. There's more rain on the camera lens down at the Fogarty S's. Meanwhile, James Toseland is into 6th position. What a start to the race for the Briton.
Down towards the Melbourne hairpin they come. Tony Elias leads the way. The rain beginning to pour down. Jorge Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi, Pedrosa all over his rear wheel, as is Andrea Dovizioso.
And I just wonder there, Toseland was in 5th actually crossing the start-finish line. What a first lap from the Briton. That's brilliant to see. That will give the fans something to cheer about. But if the rain continues, it will make this race intriguing. Very intriguing indeed. They cross the start-finish line for the 2nd time, and it's Elias leading from Lorenzo, Rossi, Dovizioso, Pedrosa the fastest man on that last lap. Casey Stoner will come through in 13th position. What's the weather doing, Ian?
Well, the race is heavier to the point where the teams are out on the pit wall, signalling back to guys in the pit box when the rider goes past. I think some of these teams are expecting the riders in quite quickly now.
But Stoner is still 2 seconds slower than Elias, and that makes it very interesting. They could risk it as long as Stoner is not as quick as them. 2.2 seconds down he is on Elias's time at the front. A 1:38 from Stoner, 1:36 from Elias.
Up through the Starkeys, Now through the Swans curve up at McLean's, you can see the rain is pouring down through that right hand. It is beginning to absolutely go. We can hear it on the roof here now, pouring it down the commentary box. But Elias still leads the way. Pedrosa now up into second place in the focus gone past Lorenzo as they come into the starting straight. Andrea Dovizioso gets past Valentino Rossi.
That's Danny Pedrosa going through on Rossi because Andrea Dovizioso is taking over at the front with Jorge Lorenzo coming through the other side. It's Dovizioso from Lorenzo now. It's Elias into Pedrosa in fourth and Valentino Rossi in fifth.
Andrea Dovizioso, winner of the 125 and 250cc races here, leads the way at Donington Park. So they come into the Melbourne hairpin. How much longer will they stay out as Danny Pedrosa goes through on Tony Elias?
Yeah, and Casey Stoner still losing time on Nicolo Canepa ahead of him. You can see it looks very, very, like there's a load of spray down there at Melbourne, but then it looks dry when we come down to Goddard. There's definite spots of rain on the camera. This will be the third lap of 30. On board with Valentino Rossi, looking at the rear of Tony Elias' bike. Tony Elias, what a start to him, and for that Sankolo Honda team, a big boost. Dovizioso did a 1:33.8 on that last lap, whereas Casey Stoner, who will come across the line now, he's been passed by Colin Edwards, and Stoner did a 1:40.3. I think Hayden must be on wet tyres as well. He's done a 1:39.5.
Danny Pedrosa trying to break the mud at the front. We ride with Valentino Rossi through the crater curves as he's got up the inside of Tony Elias. He has, as they go through the old hairpin. Brave overtaking manoeuvre by the world champion. Back up into fourth place, right behind him, Tony Elias. But still leading the way is Danny Pedrosa. We ride with Valentino Rossi. That's Elias just tucked in behind him. Elias early leader on the first lap of the race as they come up to McLean's towards Coppice Corner.
Up the hill at Coppice, it can be very treacherous around the Coppice corner. Through they come. James Toseland now in sixth position, riding very well indeed. This is a dream start to the race from him. And if he can keep pushing, if the rain comes a little bit more, it might play into his hands at the moment. But there's a gap between himself and Elias, who's in fifth, and it's Melandri behind him. Then it's De Punier. De Angelis is in ninth, Caparossi 10th, Callio in 11th. And then a gap back to Nicolo Canepa in 12th, Edwards in 13th, Vermeulen 14th, Talmasci in 15th, ahead of Stoner and Hayden on the Ducatis.
Through the Melbourne hairpin, still some rain spots on the camera lens as they race up towards Goddard.
Look at the wind as well. It's really blustering up down there at Melbourne too, and that will help either move the clouds quickly or bring the rain in quickly.
Yeah, we'll try the track quicker. Who knows? This is British summer weather. Lap 4 of 30. All of them setting their fastest laps as Danny Pedrosa now with the fastest lap of the race. Will suggest that the track is still okay, doesn't it?
It suggests that the rain isn't coming down hard enough for the MotoGP riders.
Lorenzo back at the front.
From Dovizioso in second position, Pedrosa in third, Rossi in fourth, on board with Casey Stoner. You can see the rain, he'll be able to see the rain on his visor as well. When he comes into Redgate, and I wonder if he's just hoping for rain more than anything, Casey Stoner.
It's Gabo Talmasci that's gone past him, isn't it?
It is Talmasci, yes.
I think Stoner might be out of luck. The wind that's picked up now is blowing the weather over the top of the circuit. And looking down towards the Melbourne hairpin, the weather looks quite clear. We can actually see the sun for the first time today.
So really not playing into Stoner's hands at the moment, is it? 4.7 seconds down on Gabo Talmasci in 16th position and out of the points. This has been a massive gamble by the factory Ducati team. Currently their riders, Stoner and Hayden, are in 16th and 17th position.
Danny Pedrosa set the fastest lap of the race, but it's Jorge Lorenzo that leads the way into the Melbourne hairpin. Dovizioso right behind him, Danny Pedrosa. Valentino Rossi's really settled into it now into fourth place, looking very, very dangerous indeed.
A lot of wind, you can see those flags down at Melbourne. Really blustering there, more rain spots on the camera at Goddard's as well. Lorenzo pulls away. He was the fastest man really in the dry conditions. Although Rossi did take pole, Lorenzo set some searing laps in qualifying. Pedrosa was another rider, very, very fast in these conditions on Friday afternoon and Saturday morning as well.
Pedrosa now moved up into second place. He's got in front of Andrea Dovizioso. I think he's a little bit worried that Lorenzo's going to get away as they race down towards the old hairpin. There they are, the two Repsol Honda riders, second and third.
I can hear the bikes being warmed up in pit lane.
Yeah, you can, because of the wall here.
Ducati are obviously expecting Casey Stoner in at any time now. They've got the bike warming up on slicks. They're ready for him every time he comes round as they just turn it off again
but
now.
surely the gamble is going to have to be because to stay out there as long as possible.
Yeah, but they don't know, if he's going to make the decision himself.
Right. Because if he comes in and changes to slicks, he loses any advantage. He's on dry tyres, and if it does rain harder, he'll have to come in and change anyway.
You've got to question the logic of making that decision, given his championship position at the moment.
Exactly, he's only 28 points behind Valentino Rossi. Maybe they just had good tip-off from the airport, which was obviously not very good.
There we are. There is the Ducati waiting for Casey Stoner, fitted with the slick tyres at the front. Valentino Rossi now desperate to try and get past the 200s because he's worried about Lorenzo getting away at the front. Lorenzo now coming into Goddard's. That left knee goes out. Here comes Valentino Rossi also into Goddard's. In front of him, Andrea Dovizioso and Danny Pedrosa. Tony Elias still having a really good ride in 5th place behind the world champion. Here comes Rossi. I'm sure he's going to make a move soon.
They all set their fastest laps apart from Lorenzo there.
Here comes Rossi up the inside at Redgate.
No way through at the moment for Valentino Rossi on Dovizioso.
And all the other teams are warming up the spare bikes now. The difference being, Ducati are warming theirs up on slicks, everybody else is warming theirs up on full wets.
Now they go down towards the old hairpin. They both go through on Danny Pedrosa, Dovizioso and Valentino Rossi through on Danny Pedrosa. Pedrosa is just some rain down there. He's just having a bit of a worrying moment.
Again, there's some real wet on the camera lens down in there, isn't it? I mean, it might not be wiped away. We really don't know, but the conditions are still far from perfect. But Lorenzo taking full advantage as they come into Coppice. It's now Dovizioso second. Valentino Rossi looking threatening in 3rd place. Will he have a go at Dovizioso when they come into the fog of the S's? He's obviously worried that Jorge Lorenzo's going to open up too big advantage. Here they come. 270, 275 kilometres an hour on the brakes. Valentino Rossi very late indeed and moves into 2nd place.
To hunt down his teammate, Jorge Lorenzo. He's beaten him to the line on 3 occasions in the last 4 races. And I just wonder if he's thinking, I need to put another one over Lorenzo, because if he wins a race, just look at the difference between Lorenzo's lap time and Stoner. A massive difference there.
And it is actually starting to rain a little bit heavier in pit lane now, but it's on and off, and it needs to start raining heavily and consistently before Stoner loses too big a disadvantage.
Danny Pedrosa trying to fight back down the weak cross straight against Andrea Dovizioso, trying to get the inside into Redgate, no way through.
I have to say, it's not a long pit lane here, and any gamble they take now could be completely wiped out, because the gap between Stoner and the front end is very, very high indeed.
Just depends what the weather does, doesn't it? 22 and a half laps to go. Certainly seems some rain down at the old hairpin, but how much rain is very difficult to judge. Tony Elias is now got past Danny Pedrosa.
Oh, and that's a big crash for Tony Elias. It's just having got past Danny Pedrosa, as you say, and just going under Starkey's Bridge, past the Schwantz curve, a little left-hander before McLean's, and he flies out of the races. That's a warning to the other riders.
Definitely is a big warning to the other riders. That will make them go, way, let's just take it easy. He's okay, Tony Elias. I think he's absolutely distraught. It was such a brilliant ride, led for the first lap.
Onto the curb, on the white line. They'll be avoiding those white lines from now on, I guarantee you. Could be one of those freshly painted ones we were talking about.
Just catches it, doesn't
He's on the curb there, and standing water on top. And that's the similar sort of crash to the one he had in Saxonby. Meanwhile, Loris Capirossi is through on James Toseland. Capirossi into 7th, Toseland down to 8th.
It's closing up at the front. That's what we want to see. Rossi is closing up on Lorenzo. Andrea Dovizioso is having a very, very good ride indeed in 3rd place. Danny Pedrosa 4th.
I suppose Stoner was thinking, above all, we talk about the logic of the decision, 28 points behind. He's probably thinking, look, some of the up-and-coming races, Brno, San Marino, Indianapolis, didn't have all the luck with us. Maybe we just try and take a big gamble. We know both the Yamaha riders are going to be strong, and we need to do something very different to take big points off both those riders in this race. It's a risky gamble, but you know, championship challenges come from taking big risks.
They certainly do. It's closing up at the front though. 21 and a half laps to go. Rossi has stalked Jorge Lorenzo.
I think though any advantage he had by running those wet tyres has now been wiped out by the distance he is from the riders at the front.
Bit of a coming together there between Marco Melandri and Mika Kallio. Back at the front, Lorenzo still leads the way as they come down the Starkey Straight into the Fogarty S's. How many times have we seen this season? The top three Yamahas leading the way. Dovizioso hasn't finished the last 3 races. 2 crashes in Assen and Laguna Seca, and then a tyre problem in Germany.
You'll see.
But he is really hanging on to Valentino Rossi.
Pedrosa has just dropped a second and a half on this lap to Dovizioso. Oh, and down goes Jorge Lorenzo going into Goddard. So the gamble hasn't paid off for Lorenzo. He crashes out. Can he get back on his bike? Is it still running? Jorge Lorenzo at Goddard goes to his bike's damaged, and that's the end of the race for Jorge Lorenzo, pushing it very hard indeed. Ian, what's the weather doing down there?
Yeah, it's the same again. You know, it's just spitting with rain, which is always making it difficult for the riders to assess how much grip they've got.
So Rossi now from Dovizioso at the front. This again is massive for the championship. Rossi leads Lorenzo in the title stakes by 14 points, but he's guaranteed to have at least that leaving Donington Park this weekend.
Jorge Lorenzo walks away. For the second time this season, the 21-year-old from Mallorca scores no points. Here we go, into Goddard. Oh, I think he even might have got it caught just on the white line
the
there.
white line. Water will stick on there.
The warning signs are there for all to see.
Look at that.
Elias and Jorge Lorenzo.
Just
they go.
on the white line, completely white line.
Just got the front wheel there. Whoa.
At the front of the race, it's between 2 Italians as Pedrosa has dropped right back. Pedrosa is 6 seconds down. Meanwhile, Stoner has just done a 1:41, picking up 2 points at the moment in 14th position. Intriguing stuff, this, isn't it? Because even if they came in and changed onto wet tyres now, they'd still rejoin the race ahead of Stoner, who's nearly a minute down.
There come the 2 race leaders. This is where Jorge Lorenzo went down. Both of them staying well clear of those white lines as they go into Goddard's. 1/3 distance when they cross the finishing line. Rossi leads from Dovizioso. Pedrosa, Randy De Punier in 4th place. Alex De Angelis 5th. Caparossi 6th.
Pedrosa is really closing on De Punier is really closing on Pedrosa. Took a second off him on that last lap. Here is Randy De Punier. Look at that, 1.3 seconds he took off Danny Pedrosa on that last one. In 6th position is Capirossi, 7th is Tosin, 8th is Callio, 9th is Melandri. I wonder what's going to happen in this one. Dovizioso is hanging very tight to the back of Rossi. Pedrosa is now 7 seconds behind them, and obviously really not happy. Look, there looks to be a lot of rain down this part of the track at McLean's.
Certainly does. And Dovizioso very, very brave here. We ride with Valentino. Have a look at Dovizioso.
Look at
here.
Rossi's tyre. Look at that.
Oh.
He's going to start having problems with that tyre, surely. Oh, look at it slide going through Coppice as well.
Well, at just 1/3 distance, it looked like the right side of the tyre was in a really, really bad shape for Valentino Rossi.
That tyre was shot. Well,
in
in terms of edge grip anyway, but there's anyone who can ride round those kind of things, it's Valentino Rossi. Softer tyre front and rear for him, and here comes De Punier. De Punier also has a soft rear tyre on there. He's got medium front, so it looks like he's got a similar setup to Danny Pedrosa. De Punier into the podium positions. Great ride by the Frenchman so far.
Double winner here in the 250cc class, Randy De Punier. We ride with him. It's Danny Pedrosa relegated to 4th place. There's some major problems going out there for tyres.
James Toseland is up into 6th, past Loris Capirossi.
This is the battle for 3rd place. Randy De Punier holds the way. There's a double 250cc winner here. Here comes Danny Pedrosa up the inside. The first bit of aggression we've seen from Danny Pedrosa with quite a few laps. Of course, I think he was probably shaking a little bit when Tony Elias went down in front of him, realised just how slippery it was out there.
Just have to recalculate the lines and how you take some of the corners through the Schwantz corner under the Starkeith Bridge.
Well, the conditions may not have helped Casey Stoner out at the start of this race, but they may conspire to help Valentino Rossi if he's having tyre problems, because the rain in pit lane is definitely getting heavier, and there's a big cloud heading directly towards the circuit now.
You have to say, you have to feel for Casey Stoner there, because that's a big gamble, and it could be one which was a wise gamble if it's going to start raining now. Their lap times are dropping considerably. Rossi on that last one did 1:32.8. Stoner still did a 1:41. But all through the pack, they're into the 1:34s, 1:35s. De Punier leading Pedrosa. Pedrosa probably has the edge in terms of engine there. But De Punier closes nicely on him. De Punier in 3rd position. 10 seconds down now on Dovizioso.
Pedrosa's got the inside line up through the down towards the Melbourne hairpin, retakes 3rd place.
That new engine that he's got in that, which was supposed to help smooth the power delivery from the corners. There's more rain on that camera. You can see it falling as well.
towards Goddard. This is where Jorge Lorenzo crashed out of the lead 4 laps ago. This is the battle for third place. Pedrosa now back into third. Randy de Prunier relegated to 4th at the front.
Nicky
Rossi
Hayden
still
is
needs to
past
make
Casey
the
Stoner. Sorry, Nicky Hayden through into 14th on Casey Stoner.
And the rain, I know what you're going to say, Ian. You're not really quite sure, are you?
No, it's definitely getting heavier now in pit lane. Every time the leaders come round, all the teams are starting those wet tyre shod bikes up just in case.
This is the race leader, Valentino Rossi, taking it very, very gingerly. Who can blame him for that? Andrea Dovizioso certainly having his best ride of the season in 2nd place. They don't want to touch those white lines. Tony Elias and Jorge Lorenzo have gone down in separate incidents when they've just got their tyres onto those very wet white lines. They're coming to the starting straight.
No, you
Here
can
we
see
are.
the
bikes
rain.
are being ready, and you can see the rain.
Yeah, just look into the garage there, you can see in the black background the rain falling in pit lane. Dovizioso breaking all the way down the white line there into the S's. And Valentino Rossi now.
Who's going to take the gamble? Who's going to be first in? I wouldn't imagine Rossi would come in until somebody else does, do you? But you don't know.
Dovizioso, you follow Rossi.
Here we are now. If they are going to go in, they will go in here. This is where the entrance to pit lane is. It's quite a straight entrance. No, neither are going to go in, I wouldn't imagine. So it's Randy de Prunier still in 3rd place in front of Danny Pedrosa. Pedrosa closes up at the Melbourne Hairpin. Either of those coming in.
Yeah, you can certainly see de Prunier is quicker on the faster part of the circuit. And in the tighter sections, in where it's open the throttle and brake, that's where Pedrosa's quicker. There's Lucio Cecchinello. Look at him clambering like a fan, isn't he? And look at Pedrosa down the straight. Certainly got the edge on engine. Nothing de Prunier can do there about Danny Pedrosa. He tries to go round the outside, doesn't he, of the Spaniard. I'm sure Pedrosa will use all his racecraft to ease de Prunier to the edge of the track. James Toseland still in 6th position. Look at de Prunier down the crater curves. Great stuff from the Frenchman.
Fabulous stuff in these very difficult conditions from Randy de Prunier down at the old hairpin. He's back in 3rd place.
Further down the order, there's Nicky Hayden, and look, Casey Stoner is being lapped by Valentino Rossi and Andrea Dovizioso now.
What a gamble they took at Ducati. Whatever happens now, I'm afraid it's a gamble that's not going to work, and they're now going to lap Nicky Hayden. Here they come, Valentino Rossi and Andrea Dovizioso are through. What must that mean to both of them, former world champions, Nicky Hayden and Casey Stoner? It must knock the stuffing out of you.
They took the gamble, and I'm sure they were ready to swallow that bitter pill of having been lapped in this race. And who knows, if people start coming in to change tyres, they could shoot right up the order.
Right with Valentino Rossi, there is Andrea Dovizioso. I tell you, Andrea Dovizioso's got a bit of victory in his nostrils. He's never won a MotoGP race. There he is going past Casey Stoner.
Right on the rear of Rossi now, isn't he?
He hasn't finished on the podium this season, Andrea Dovizioso.
He's only had 1 in MotoGP. That was in the last race of last year. And now Andrea Dovizioso, can he get his first podium with the factory team? Can it be by beating probably his hero, or the man he'll have looked up to in Italy for the last few years, Valentino Rossi?
They've gone under half distance. This is the race still for 3rd place. Randy de Prunier so fast through the crater curves. This is where he overtook Danny Pedrosa last time round. Through the left, about 150 miles an hour, now lining up for the right-hander at the old hairpin. But on the more tighter section, it certainly appears that Danny Pedrosa is quicker. This is still the fast part. Under the starting bridge, through the Swanch corner, up towards McLean.
And it is a fabulous section of track, isn't it? All round there. Brilliant to watch, especially as a spectator at the circuit. You get such a feel for how fast and how brave these MotoGP riders are to dive their way down the crater curves.
Andrea Dovizioso still quite happy and looking pretty comfortable there in 2nd place as they come through the fog of the S's down towards the Melbourne hairpin.
They've got a 13-second gap back to de Prunier in 3rd position now.
Well, I expect these races between Rossi and Lorenzo normally.
Or even Pedrosa.
But no, it's Dovizioso. As they come up towards Goddard, when they cross the line, they will be exact half distance. And as it is at the moment, the weather, well, it probably has played some part. I think it probably meant the demise of both Tony Elias and Jorge Lorenzo. But the gamble taken by Ducati with Casey Stoner and Nicky Hayden, you've got to say, as far as winning the race, I would think is failed.
I think for Rossi, he has to just stay out there, doesn't he? Because even if he come in and change to wet weather tyres now. You've got to wait until everyone else does it behind you, really.
I think the situation with the track, certainly down on the start-finish straight, is it's just not wet enough on the track to justify wet tyres. You know, it's going to be a case of the riders just watching where they are on the track, avoiding the white lines, because I think the slicks are a better choice even in this weather at the moment.
It's a great ride by Andrea Dovizioso, isn't it? He looks very comfortable. He's doing a Rossi to Rossi. He's pushing him from behind all the way.
Knees are only just touching the tarmac in places that would normally be full lean. And just letting their knees just hover above the tarmac.
I'm sure it's also good for Dovizioso because Rossi's feeling the way all the way, isn't he? He's leading him around, just trying to find out where the drier parts of the circuit are. But he will make a move at some point because he's close enough to do so. But I would imagine with nobody within a country mile behind him, he's quite happy to sit there at the moment and just let Rossi do all the hard work and find those drier lines.
Pedrosa's got through on Randy de Punier one more time. It was over the start-finish straight. Jorge Lorenzo has to sit disappointed in the garage. Thumbs up from him. And well done. Oh, it was the right line. Just as a break. Pushing a little bit too hard. Bit of water and down it goes.
And that's when he realises that the bike is too badly damaged to continue.
Dovizioso has a look up on the inside.
Certainly had a look there.
Look, I mean, look, they've still got that flag out, the stationary white flag with the red cross on it, which means that there is spots of water on the track. And look how much de Punier's just lost out on that last lap there. I wonder if conditions got a little worse further around the track. Meanwhile, it's De Angelis who's overtaking Nicky Hayden now. Another fifth place finish for him as things stand. Look at the rain on James Tozer and Pfizer there as he's closed in gradually by Colin Edwards, his teammate, and a whole bunch of riders.
Bringing along Mika Kallio, Loris Capirossi, Marco Melandri, they all want to join in the fun. It's difficult for James Tozer.
That's Casey Stoner.
Such an important race for him.
Being overtaken by everybody.
Being lapped by everybody.
Look at this now,
Colin Edwards, no love lost between these two.
He will go hard through on him at Schwantz.
Let's have a look. Colin Edwards will be desperate to get past James Tozer, especially in front of the British crowd. Both of them great favourites here. Colin Edwards, of course, from his Superbike days, goes past James Tozer very, very comfortably indeed, you've got to say. What can Tozer do about it as they come back up towards Coppice Corner? There's Edwards, Tozer, Kallio, Loris Capirossi, and at the back of the group, Marco Melandri as they go into Coppice.
Certainly rain pouring down there at Coppice. Look at James Tozer's face. What a brilliant shot that is of Tozer. Just a focus on his face coming down that straight now. Capirossi coming back into it. Puts the bike up on the inside of Kallio and brings it back round in front of the Finnish rider. Kallio claims the position.
Loris Capirossi won here 19 years ago, the 125cc race. I think he won it the year after as well. He's also won two 250cc races here, so he knows about winning here. We ride with Marco Melandri. That's Mika Kallio, winner of the 250cc race here last year, just tucked in behind him.
So Kallio drops to 9th. Capirossi in 8th, Tozer in 7th.
What about the weather, Ian? Because it looks very wet to us just as they come through Goddard.
Well, the start-finish straight, there's no change really. It's light drizzle. I still don't think it's enough for a full change to full wet, to be honest.
There's only one person who will make the decision, and that is the riders themselves. So they will decide. But like anything else in life, when somebody makes the decision, as Kallio goes past.
Look at that, Kallio just went past 3 riders there.
Where did he find that from?
Melandri, meanwhile, goes through on Capirossi. The conditions are so changeable around the track. Edwards seems to have found a groove up into 6th position, and he's closing down on De Angelis by 4 seconds a lap. It looks like the rain is heavier than ever out there at the moment.
Very,
because
very
Rossi's just done a 136.7, Pedrosa a 137, De Angelis a 139.
This is up at Coppice.
Hayden and Stoner are 142, so
very, very difficult to judge. Only the riders will make the decisions. Kallio's decided, right, I'm going to stick my neck out and go for it. And he's done exactly that. There is Kallio. There is Tozer now coming under pressure from Marco Melandri at the back of the group. Loris Capirossi. Tozer really grabbed a big hand from there, didn't he, as he came out through the S's. He really does mean business. It's a good race. Very difficult conditions as they come down to the Melbourne hairpin. The front with James Tozer. Look at Melandri right behind him.
It's still Rossi and Dovizioso, just a 10th between them. 136.6 from Rossi, 136.5 from Dovizioso. This is the battle between James Tozer and Marco Melandri for 7th position. Loris Capirossi just sits in behind. Tozer had a moment there, didn't he, coming out of Goddard's?
Andrea Dovizioso's riding the best I've ever seen him in a MotoGP race. He's still on the tail of Valentino Rossi. He's got to come, not a comfort zone, that's been really unfair, but sometimes he's got to make a move, isn't he?
They're riding 5 seconds slower than they were doing after about 4 or 5 laps in this race. And there's lots of rain down that part of the track.
I'm sure it helps Dovizioso following Valentino Rossi. Yeah, he gets a bit of spray, but Rossi, the absolute master of these conditions, isn't he? Dovizioso, quite happy to follow. At some point, he's got to stop following him, pull out, and get into the marbles and have a go. He's pushed him a couple of times, but I think he's very content to sit there with 11 and a half laps to go.
Yeah, I think he should be as well. He doesn't need to make any rash manoeuvres just yet. Doesn't want to take out the world champion, does he? He'll have a healthy respect for
He's
Valentino
sizing
Rossi.
him up, though, isn't he? He's working out where he perhaps can do it.
Remember the first race of last year when he was the rookie in the championship and the move he put up on Valentino Rossi there? He's more than capable of repeating that kind of manoeuvre.
As I say, he's a former 125 and 250cc winner. Between these two, they've won 9 races at Donington Park, so they certainly know their way around the parking circuit. We ride with Valentino Rossi. There's Andrea Dovizioso, 19 of 30. So we're coming up to the 2/3 distance. Dovizioso will sit there. I think Rossi is content to sit there at the moment. The fun and games will probably start with about 5 laps to
Randy
go.
He's
got past Danny Pedrosa again.
Suddenly, he just had a lap that was 1.5 seconds quicker than anybody on track, Randy De Punier.
Look at Colin Edwards.
Apart from Colin Edwards.
Edwards.
Edwards also in the 135s. Incredible lap for De Punier.
Why is this happening? Is it because certain parts of the track have been braver or what?
Yeah, I think people have better feeling than others.
Yeah.
Alex De Angelis has gone with double knee sliders there.
Yeah. Back at the front.
You know, De Punier's just closed the gap by 3 seconds on the lead. It's now 10 seconds between himself and Dovizioso.
That would just be amazing. It's a good race. I love races just between 2 riders sometimes. These sort of head-to-head races. Not head-to-head yet, because Dovizioso in no way is shown. Oh, Rossi's gone! Valentino Rossi is put down at the fog of the S's. Rossi has crashed. Can he get back in the race?
Andrea Dovizioso was lucky that the bike didn't come back out onto track, so Rossi pushing it hard. Both the factory Yamahas have crashed in this race. Was it so much of a gamble for Casey Stoner? Valentino Rossi will have to pick up his Yamaha M1. And Andrea Dovizioso leads the Grand Prix by 10 seconds from Randy De Punier. Pedrosa in 3rd, De Angelis in 4th, Edwards in 5th. Kallio goes through in 6th position. Valentino Rossi in 7th. Will he come in and change the bike?
There's Loris Capirossi going past him. Right, Andrea Dovizioso. You've done all the pushing. You've got him out of the way, but now you've got the real hard work to do. This will be an enormous test of character for the former 125cc world champion.
Again, Randy De Punier 1 second quicker than Dovizioso on that last lap. It's a Honda 1, 2, 3 in this race. 4, because De Angelis is in 4th spot.
And Rossi at the back of this group now. Obviously, he's taking time to get himself sorted out.
Back into 11th for Valentino Rossi. As things stand at the moment, it's Dovizioso, De Punier, Pedrosa on the podium. Then De Angelis, Edwards, Kallio, Melandri, Capirossi, Toseland, Canepa, and Valentino Rossi is in 11th position. Incredible.
This is now a completely different race for Andrea Dovizioso. We follow Valentino. I think he had something to do with him crashing. He pushed him and pushed him and pushed him.
And for the championship, for Danny Pedrosa, for example, who's 68 points behind Valentino Rossi. If he can take home a podium here, that's a big chunk that he wouldn't have expected from both Lorenzo and Rossi and Stoner.
Randy De Punier in 2nd place, the Frenchman, he cannot believe it. A big crash for him last week in Germany. Here is the crash.
Comes round and it's the
back end.
Yeah, the back end just lets go as he comes round, just about to switch over, to flip the bike over.
Down he goes. Left knee hits the ground first. He's looking to get back in the race.
Look at the clutch lever there. They were saying, how lucky were we that bike didn't come back onto track.
They were saying exactly right. They weren't saying Andrea leads the way. They were saying we are so lucky.
And the rain.
That was the go for Andrea. So sorry, Ian.
And the rain in pit lane's definitely getting heavier now. Definitely getting heavier.
Wow.
I think there's still another twist to this race. I don't think this race is over yet.
If you're Valentino Rossi, do you come in and just risk it and change that bike to the wet weather tyre. I mean, Dovizioso just the 137. Hayden and Stoner are still in the 142s on the wet weather tyre, but I can't imagine they're pushing to their fullest extent.
Real spray coming up from the rear wheel there of Andrea Dovizioso as he comes up to Coppice though, isn't there?
What decisions he has to make now. Randy Lepunier, the gap is down to 8.9 seconds between himself and Dovizioso, another second on that last lap.
Plunges down about 260 kilometres an hour and that brakes for the Fogarty S's.
Do not know what is going to happen.
No, I don't either. I don't know what I'd do either.
The suspense is killing me as well. Lepunier just dropped a second in that section. The rain is obviously so much heavier now.
Oh, the bike's absolutely
James Toseland is into 6th position now. Look how slowly Pedrosa is going through the S's. Very gingerly through there.
Yeah, let's have a look at the championship. 19 points between Rossi and Lorenzo. Stoner 32. Danny Pedrosa 57 points down, but it's a big race for Danny Pedrosa. Here is Valentino Rossi.
He's closing back on Loris Capirossi. He dropped a load of time, and now he's closing back up on him.
He's having problems with that lever though, isn't he? Without a doubt, it's a clutch lever.
Casey Stoner in 15th position. The problem is he's closing right in on Hayden now at 0.3 of a second every section. The gamble has come, but just too late. Livio Supo, probably himself and Stoner's call. And the problem is his tyres will almost be gone.
The first one's in. Marco Melandri on the Harate's in, and also Loris Capirossi.
They're coming in.
What is Jorge Lorenzo thinking? Here comes Capirossi. He's taking the gamble. Why not Loris Capirossi? Out he goes. Melandri's going to get out. There's a quicker stop there. And look at Colin Edwards. Edwards is through into 3rd position now.
There is Danny Pedrosa, who's 4th. It's Alex De Angelis. He's got past Danny Pedrosa as well.
This is incredible for the
Danny
championship.
Pedrosa going right across the white line there. Big one. Danny Pedrosa looks shocked to me. I can't believe that Danny Pedrosa will not be the next rider in.
This is incredible.
There is Lepunier. Let's settle this down. Here is Colin Edwards. Here is Alex De Angelis. Here is Danny Pedrosa. The 2 men in then. Loris Capirossi and Marco Melandri.
And Vermeulen as well, I think.
Vermeulen's in and out. He's on his way out again.
Here he goes. So, as things stand, Andrea Dovizioso leads by 13.8 seconds from Colin Edwards. Edwards is closing by 1 second every sector on Randy Lepunier. Their lap times at last are slower than Stoner and Hayden. But you can see Vermeulen has just rejoined the race and he's miles ahead of Hayden and Stoner.
There is Alex De Angelis. So Alex De Angelis currently running in 3rd place. There's Dovizioso. 7 laps of hell in front of him before perhaps he can win his first ever MotoGP race. This is going to be a nightmare.
And he was leading a race early on this year, wasn't he? I'm just trying to remember where it was. Flag to flag race, and he was leading in these conditions. He was forced to come in and change.
Gingerly through Craner Curve, coming down to the old hairpin. This will absolutely.
He was in Mugello, wasn't he?
It was. This will test him to the limit. He's a 125cc world champion. He's runner-up in the 250cc championship. Great debut in MotoGP last year. More coming in.
Yeah, Callio's in.
This is all very interesting now. So the riders who've stayed out so far, Dovizioso, Lepunier, Edwards, De Angelis, Pedrosa, who's come through, Toseland as well. Look at Melandri now. He's going to go through on Callio. So Melandri on wet weather tyres, has he made the exactly right gamble one more time? Because Melandri's just crossed the front of Callio. Let's have a look. Melandri is in 9th position on wet tyres. 16 seconds behind Rossi with 7 laps remaining.
This is Dovizioso. He is on slick tyres. He leads the British Grand Prix in 2nd place. Randy Lepunier on slick tyres. He is 2nd in the British Grand Prix.
And Edwards is closing at a fierce rate now on Lepunier. Another 3 seconds he took out of Lepunier on that last lap. Edwards, you can see, just coming over the brow of the hill and down towards Melbourne.
He's bringing De Angelis with him,
bringing Alex De Angelis with him as well. And he's just trying to break as much in a straight line as possible, then tip the bike over.
Here's Alex De Angelis up towards Goddard's. Colin Edwards flying in 3rd place, fancies 2nd place. Alex De Angelis, what a position that would be in his very first podium in MotoGP. Of course, they've got to catch Randy Lepunier yet. This is Marco Melandri. I'm sorry, this is
James Toseland
Danny
around the outside
Pedrosa.
of Danny Pedrosa. Wow, what a manoeuvre from Toseland in these conditions. Into 5th, for the Briton. So Pedrosa now is coming under pressure from Valentino Rossi, who's up into 7th position.
Got to say, Valentino Rossi may have crashed, but he gets past Dani Pedrosa. He's going to increase his lead in the World Championship over everybody.
Amazing.
We ride with him.
And he's going to go through. Easy at Hollywood, going down into the Craner curves. Wow.
I can't believe Dani Pedrosa's not going to come in soon. Well, I don't think it's too late now.
He's lapping at 1:48 at the moment. Rossi at 1:43s. Colin Edwards is 3 seconds behind Randy Depunier. And with 5.5 laps remaining, it doesn't make sense for anyone to change now, surely.
Wouldn't have thought so. It's just too big a gamble now.
Well, you just lose too much time. There's actually, that's Nicolo Canepa in 8th position, putting pressure on Dani Pedrosa.
Dani Pedrosa, without a shadow of doubt, is having really major problems. Perhaps he should have taken the gamble a lot earlier on and come in, but that's very easy for us to say, sat up here. We ride with Dani Pedrosa. He doesn't want to give up that position. 7th place without a great fight, but sort of has an inevitability about it that he will get swallowed up in the end as he comes into the fog of the S.
Edwards to Depunier, gap is down to 2 seconds. De Angelis is second behind him.
What a popular second place that would be in this part of the world. Colin Edwards, great favourite of the British fans. Perhaps not quite so much this year after a spat with James Tosley.
I think they still do love Colin Edwards. I think they love his humour more than anything. Yeah, the gap between Depunier and Edwards down to 1.8 seconds. The gap between Depunier and Dovizioso has closed by 3 seconds on that lap. It's 7.8 now. But this could just be Dovizioso taking it easy with 4.5 laps remaining. Can he take his first MotoGP victory?
Well, you couldn't blame him for taking it a little bit easy, could you?
Just grabs his rip-off through the Swans corner. 7.2 the gap to Depunier now. It's closing all the time. Ian, what's the weather like down there, if you could tell?
Of course, as soon as we get people in to change onto full wet tyres, the rain stops.
Yeah, typical, isn't it? Here we go. It's Randy Depunier in 2nd. Colin Edwards in 3rd place. Alex De Angelis 4th. You fancy Colin Edwards to take over 2nd?
Gap between Dovizioso and Depunier has just gone by half a second. It's just closed by half a second. Big moment for Depunier, but he's only 5.6 behind Dovizioso now. They've got to be telling that. Look at Lucio Cecchinello taking huge deep breaths, isn't he? Because he's bringing along Colin Edwards as well. Could Edwards be winning this one? He's 4 seconds a lap quicker than Dovizioso.
Could Colin Edwards be the surprise winner of the British Grand Prix?
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in this one?
The great thing about all these first 4, they're all chasing their first ever MotoGP victory.
Another second in that last section there, and that's right, Nick. All 4 of them, and Toslund in 5th, but Toslund is 9 seconds behind De Angelis. No chance for him, I would say. Across the finish line, there's Dovizioso.
Almost for the first time we can get them all in picture, can't we?
4 seconds between Dovizioso and Depunier. Edwards right on the back of Depunier now. De Angelis there as well. This would equal his best result in MotoGP as he fights for his future in the series. James Toslund, his best finish in MotoGP as well, it would be.
Yeah, running in 5th place as he breaks the red gate corner. Here is Valentino Rossi currently running in 6th place. Dani Pedrosa 7th. Rossi won't be too unhappy about this. Well, he'll be unhappy, but he's actually increasing his lead in the World Championship. In front of everybody he has to be in front of. This is Marco Melandri in 9th place. This is a crucial lap, isn't it? I think now if Dovizioso can continue to fight them off, he'd be okay, but if he doesn't...
On board with Colin Edwards, right on the rear now of Randy Depunier, and Depunier's closed the gap to Dovizioso. Let's have a look as they go through the second split. Dovizioso just went through. It's down to 2.6 between Dovizioso and Depunier. Surely they're going to catch it.
They're onto the Starkey straight. Colin Edwards is right within 3rd place. Randy Depunier in 2nd. We just got a fleeting glimpse of the race leader, Andrea Dovizioso. He is being hunted down. Colin Edwards quite happy to sit there at the moment because Depunier is dragging him along to reach him.
For all 3 of them, it would be a first podium of the season. For all 3 of them, it would be a first Grand Prix victory. This is going to be a hectic last 3 laps because all 3 of them as well can scent victory. They can smell it. It's not so far away now for any one of them. Dovizioso will come across the line and be told by his team, you've got no gap now, 1.4 the gap into Goddard.
Depunier leads the way from Edwards. I think Edwards is quite happy to sit there at the moment. His nose is catching. He might have a go now. Colin Edwards up the inside of Randy Depunier as they come down towards the red gate. Depunier, though, very quick through the right-hander. Edwards is happy there at the moment.
Yeah, and Dovizioso is very quick in that final corner, which could prove crucial later on. This could be interesting. This is where Depunier's and Edwards are catching on Dovizioso. Down through Craner curves. On board with Colin Edwards. Can he get through with the old hairpin? He does. Colin Edwards now up into second position. This would be such a popular podium for Colin Edwards. A slight wobble as he comes out. Now down into Schwant's corner. They start to climb up from this point onwards.
Below the podium, this would be a very popular win for Colin Edwards. He could still win this race. Up towards McLean's. 2.5 laps ago. This would be an extraordinary victory for the monster Tech Trois Yamaha rider. Poor old Dovizioso. There's nothing he could do. And Randy Depunier isn't out of it yet.
The gap between Dovizioso and Edwards, 1.1 seconds now. Another twitch for Depunier. Down the back straight, the Starkey straight they go. Into the Fogarty S's. What will be the gap when they come out of the S's? Dovizioso has that comfortable margin of a second, but it's closing very quickly indeed.
Down towards the Melbourne hairpin, the third split will come up any moment now. What is it going to be? Here we go. Oh, it's under 1 second as they break. Here comes Depunier. That's not going to help either of them, though, overtaking like that. That's going to be an advantage for Dovizioso.
Definitely, they need to work together, get to Dovizioso. But they all want to win. They all want this first Grand Prix victory under their belt. So, who will win the British Grand Prix? Dovizioso is about to cross the line now, and there will be 2 laps remaining.
Here we go. I think Edwards has got to get past Depunier. He's done it once. The gap then, what, up to 1.4?
He's gone back up to 1.4. I think Dovizioso's reacted. And the conditions have obviously worsened a little bit. Depunier 140, Edwards 140, Dovizioso 140, all very similar lap times. James Toseland, what a result this would be for him in 5th place.
Toseland into red coat, we ride with Valentino Rossi in 6th place. Rossi, as you can see, all the mud and dirt on the back of his leathers where he crashed out of the Fogarty S's. Danny Pedrosa has been overtaken by Nicola Canova. You didn't think you were going to say that in this race, did you? There's Danny Pedrosa 8th, Marco Melandri in 9th place.
Surely someone like Depunier or Edwards has to throw caution to the wind. First podium, yes, but chance of a first victory this close?
I tell you, it's getting closer and closer as they come into Coppice. Depunier still in 2nd place.
0.8 of a second now through that second
Here
split.
comes Edwards in 3rd place. They've got Dovizioso in their side, but somebody now has got to stick their neck out. Big style. They're going to catch him and Dovizioso, so they've got to go for it. I think Edwards will have a go surely on Randy Depunier as they come into the Fogarty S's. No, he's not close enough.
I can't watch this. This is unbelievable stuff.
I reckon
all 3 of them would make worthy winners of a Grand Prix.
Wouldn't they just? But I think that perhaps Dovizioso may just have enough. Let's wait and see. Through the Melbourne hairpin, up towards Goddard. It's a brilliant ride by Dovizioso.
Meanwhile, Marco Melandri has got past Danny Pedrosa. It looks like the rain has started again, and it's affecting their riding one more time. Edwards tried to bring it back tight around that final corner, didn't he, to have the drive down the straight.
Let's have a look what the cameras. Yeah, it's that 4th sector that he's so quick on, Andrea Dovizioso. I tell you what, if he stays on, he's going to win his first ever MotoGP race. And I've got to say, he flipping deserves it after this ride, because he has been pushed and pulled in very difficult conditions, and he's sailed so firm. This is the battle for second. Surely Colin Edwards will try to get past Randy Depunier, but Dovizioso now, half a lap to go for the 23-year-old Italian.
1.5 seconds gap between himself and Pedrosa. This is in the bag for Dovizioso now. Looks like being a first Grand Prix victory hit for him. What a shame that it can't be one of the satellite team riders, because that would be such a great result if one of them could have done it. But nonetheless, it will be a first podium of the year if they can stay on board their bikes.
Half a lap to go. The very last MotoGP race at Donington Park for at least 5 years. What a race it has been. Lorenzo's crash, Rossi's crash, Tony Elias' crash. James Toseland is flying in 5th place, but we could have a new MotoGP Grand Prix winner.
Toseland could be about to lose 5th place to Valentino Rossi. That would be deeply disappointing for him, because that would only equal his best result.
Down towards the Melbourne hairpin for the very last time. What a ride by Andrea Dovizioso, the former 125cc world champion. Edwards, I won't say he's settling for 3rd place, but he's not going to make any mistakes, is he? He doesn't want to. There is Valentino Rossi going past James Toseland into the S's. That's just where...
And look at Toseland, he got the drive there. Out of the corner, here comes Edwards into the final corner. Colin Edwards is going to take second position, but it's going to be Andrea Dovizioso who wins the British Grand Prix. Edwards takes second place, brilliant for the Tech 3 team. Randy de Punier takes third. Alex De Angelis will come home in fourth position, equaling his best result in MotoGP. Who will take fifth? Will it be Toseland? Will it be Rossi?
Let's wait and see. James Toseland and Valentino Rossi battle it out for sixth place. Here comes Valentino. It's Valentino
Rossi.
Rossi takes fifth place. James Toseland in sixth place. Not a bad day in the office for Valentino Rossi. He crashes out, but he still finishes way in front of all of his rivals and opens up his lead in the World Championship. But the day belongs to Andrea Dovizioso, but also to Colin Edwards and, of course, Randy de Punier.
The rain just came too late, didn't it, for Casey Stoner? He's overtaken Nicky Hayden in 14th position. Danny Pedrosa crosses the line in 9th position behind Nicolo Canepa and Marco Melandri. What a ride from him on those wets.
And I'm down here with a very happy Hervé Poncharal after today's race. Hervé, podium position. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, you know, Colin is going to make us having a heart attack. You know, the older I get, the better it is. And, you know, I don't want to reinvent the wheel and to redo the race. But when you see that he was 2 before the end, you know, he was 15th. You know, second position is perfect, but first ever victory could have been here. And but anyway, we're happy. You know, James, best result of the season, good race too. So we can go on holiday with, you know, a good smile.
Enjoy your holiday, Hervé.
And we love England, by the way.
Unfortunately, on the slowing down lap, it does appear that some spectators have got on the track, which is a great shame, isn't it?
Well, I think they're always going to invade the track here. They do that. They are asked to wait until the riders have made their way around. They want to make their way around
To be fair, there doesn't seem to be too many problems at the moment. Well done, Randy de Punier. Well done, Valentino Rossi. I tell you what, he'll have sorted out who's what and where, and they think, well, okay, I crashed out, but I'm still in Chris lead in the World Championship. Well, it was a big chance for somebody, wasn't it? Casey Stoner or Danny Pedrosa to really close that gap. Well, Jorge Lorenzo, of course, but actually Jorge Lorenzo crashed out before Valentino Rossi.
Incredible stuff. And, well, a good shake of the hands. Top Yamaha in this race for the monster Yamaha Tech 3 team. Nakajima in there, shaking hands with Guy Coulon as well. Well done to that team. Hats off to Andrea.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more.
Battled hard with Valentino Rossi, and you know what? He kept the pressure on.
He did a Rossi on him.
Valentino Rossi made a mistake.
Yeah, dead right. But then he had to ride at the front, and then he had them suddenly really catching him. He kept his head, never made a mistake the whole race. A very, very worthy winner. Good to see him at last winning a MotoGP race. He's not scored points at the last 3 races. What a way to return.
Colin Edwards getting a big... Oh, that's actually James Toseland. James
Fair
Toseland getting
mark to James
a really, really good support from the fans here. And let's hope he can make it back, actually. Nico Kallio. Well, he came in to change tyres, didn't he, Kallio? And looked like a bit of a firm slap on the back for James Toseland in 6th position. And he'll love that. He'll love having the fans' adulation here. Well done to the LCR Honda team, taking their first podium.
I think they're ready to celebrate, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah,
this is James Toseland trying to fight his way through the crowds. Rather too many people on the track now. He's safely making his way through, but it's very, very difficult. Oh, hey, celebration.
It could have been a
Randy
victory,
yeah,
but you know, he doesn't care, does he? To take the podium, I think he sealed himself a spot in MotoGP with his performances this season. He's impressed so many people, been quick on so many occasions.
But this is the man that will be celebrated more than anybody else. This is Valentino Rossi. Tell you what, that's what a world champion does. He crashes out, he fights his way back. He finishes 6th in the race. Here is the crash. Back end comes round, going into the fog of the S's. He fights his way back, he finishes 6th, and he increases his lead in the World Championship.
Dovizioso was so lucky. The bike just didn't fire right across and back into him. And this was the move that he went past James Toseland on that last lap. I don't think anything Toseland could do there. Rossi will have the edge on the engine as well. And he comes through to sneak that position from Toseland. Well done to Colin Edwards as well. He loves finishing on the podium here, doesn't he?
He does. But you know, with 3 or 4 laps ago, I really thought he could win this race, Colin Edwards. Guy shakes his hand, his crew chief, but great for Pete Benson. I was talking to Pete Benson, the crew chief, on Saturday. Do you know, he said, I think he's got a chance of winning. He really was great, but wow, well done.
At last, it's come for Andrea Dovizioso. Threatened so many times, but finally he takes his first MotoGP victory.
We're always going on about people, we say, but he is one of the nicest guys you'd ever wish to meet, Andrea Dovizioso. So I don't think I've ever seen him in anything but a very mild-mannered, good, apart from when he's on the track. Yeah, he's a really good guy. And when he was riding that 250 Honda against Jorge Lorenzo, riding that Superior Aprilia, we always said he will make it in MotoGP. This guy's got something special. He's proved it today.
Yeah, those races in 250 against Jorge Lorenzo when he was underpowered and struggling against the Aprilia of Lorenzo, but you always knew he was fast, he was consistent, and that's what he's shown one more time. And Valentino Rossi comes and shakes his hand and he's probably saying to him, yeah, you did a me.
Yeah,
you put the pressure on that crash. He says, all credit to you, you deserve it, no doubt. Because he does deserve that.
But he can't believe it. Usually wears his hat a funny angle, doesn't he? He's got to wear the Bridgestone hat the right way around to go onto the podium. Yeah, his first podium of the season. That is extraordinary. Well,
the last MotoGP race then at the Donington Park circuit, 90,000 fans in to see it. What do you make of that one?
An extraordinary race. So difficult to call. I honestly, as I say, believed that the 3 laps from then that Colin Edwards could win this race. I really did think.
And having been, as Hervé Poncharal said, he was down in 15th, 16th position, was he, after the first couple of corners?
Fabulous ride by Colin Edwards. Randy de Prunier, they call him the crasher. He's crashed once this year in the races. If he was ever going to crash, it was here, and he rode absolutely brilliantly. Alex Anges is coming into a bit of form, isn't he, in the MotoGP? Everybody says that's it, he's going to be Moto2, he's going to be this, that, and everything else. I tell you, the last 3 races he's ridden really well.
Just like last season, just like Elias last season as well, who had ridden well before he crashed out. James Tozen can't even get back. He's been mobbed out on track. If they could let him come back to the garage.
It's Colin Edwards starting to do his television interviews, larking about as always. It's good to interview, but you're never quite sure what he's going to say. You've got that to come, and I've got it to come in a minute as well.
The BBC doing it, and I wouldn't like someone have their finger over the beat button.
What's your language, Colin? And obviously Andrea Dovizioso had been interviewed by Italian television. He's the new Italian star. James Tozen, any chance of you ever getting back?
I think he's still coming.
He
is actually shaking everybody's hand on the way around.
He's smiling. Good for him. He's another good guy, isn't he, James Tozen? And he's taken this exactly right, isn't he? You start being funny, and he's just settled things down. Done a great job. Great ride by James Tozen. Good to see it. Moves up to 12th in the championship. Going to do his and our British fans.
He's riding to the fans now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's riding over to them.
Oh, I'll come over here.
Taking their acclaim.
Yeah, that's really good. They've supported him throughout the year. Here we go. History has been made here at Donington Park. Andrea Dovizioso, the 23-year-old Italian from Forlì, has won his very first MotoGP event. But what a race at the end between Colin Edwards and Randy de Prunier. And either of those could have also won this race.
Gabor Tomashi, his best result so far in 12th position. Vermeulen came into change, but he was a little bit late. Stoner and Hayden took the risk, had those wet tyres on, and it cost them big points in the race. Lorenzo and Elias crashed out. Lorenzo while leading. Elias was up leading the race at one point. And that's what it does to the championship. Rossi leads Lorenzo by 25. Stoner by 37. Pedrosa by 72.
It's opened it up, actually, hasn't it? It's amazing that a man can crash and still open up the championship the way he has done it.
I think there's only one person
There's only one person in the world that does that, isn't it? Dear oh no, poor old Nicky Hayden, he took the gamble, didn't he? And James Tozen was 14th in the championship. He's now moved up to 12th, so that's really good for him. Another aeroplane takes off. I said, getting out the circuit now, I think you probably need an aeroplane.
You probably would. It's heaving in here, isn't it?
Nearly 90,000 people here today. There is Andrea Dovizioso being interviewed by all of us. He's not back yet, is he?
No, he's just coming into pit lane now, James Tozen.
I'm just down here with Colin Edwards. Colin, earlier on the grid we were talking about Paradise Island. Has your opinion changed since the end of the race?
Man, I'm getting too old for this shit. That was just ridiculous. You know, the conditions, obviously, we all know what they are, but you just didn't know from corner to corner if you're going to crash or keep it on two wheels. And you know, all these guys got brave in the beginning and left, and I thought, okay, see you later, because I at least want to understand the conditions before I go out there and crash it on the first 2 laps. And I started building into it and understanding where the grip level was, and also the rain that was coming down. But then you had to rely on the wind blowing. As long as the wind was blowing, it was drying it. Guys running over the same line lap after lap. So the track kind of stayed a little dry, except right there at the end. It got cold on the left side. You couldn't build any temperature on the left side of the tire.
And that move on the end and Ronnie de Punier, calculated, or were you just having second place?
No, honestly, I made a couple of mistakes the lap and a half before that. And I thought, man, I just want to finish this damn race. I don't care if I am 15th. I just want to get off the spike. And then right there at the end, I saw that it was going to be a possibility. I thought, well, I'm going to have a go. You know, and I saw Dovizioso was up there, but there was just no opportunity to take a risk because he'd get down to the ground. I mean, he was doing about as fast as you could go.
Well, congratulations, Colin.
Yeah, we apologise for Colin's agricultural language there, but you know, he's just come second in a MotoGP race. He's very close to winning as well. It was an action-packed race here at Donington Park.
That's the 2 big crashes, Tony Elias and Jorge Lorenzo. One will crash to come. This is Gold, a world champion.
Casey Stoner, another world champion, was lapped, as was Nicky Hayden too. And that was Edwards going through on Tozen when Edwards just thought he had the edge. And he powered away to challenge for the lead. But this was a big moment, wasn't it? Dovizioso continued to pile the pressure on Rossi, continued to stick with him.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. And then Rossi goes down at the fog of the S's. Got back on the bike. That's what world champions do. And then Edwards starts closing the gap on Dovizioso at the front. Punier decides he wants to finish second. Probably just halts his progress a bit. But then Edwards on the very last corner takes second place. But there's no doubt about the race winner, Andrea Dovizioso.
A delight for the Repsol Honda team. Well done to Andrea Dovizioso. His first Grand Prix victory in MotoGP. Well, we'll get the Italian national anthem very shortly.
Yeah, we will. And it's not for Valentino
Strangely,
Rossi.
at Donington Park, yeah, it's not for Valentino Rossi.
It actually looks like he can hardly believe it, doesn't he? Where do you leave your bike? How are you getting out? What do you do tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. No, I think they're talking about how wet and slippery it was out there, don't you?
Yeah, I think he said to him, where did Rossi crash? What happened there?
That may well be what he's saying, actually. Here we go. What a ride into third place by Randy de Punier.
They're loving it anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
No Trojan there, no Rossi either. But they're still enjoying the fact that we've had a very eventful British Grand Prix and a big shake of the hands between Edwards and Dovizioso. Look at that. Great humour, great respect between the riders. Well done, Randy de Punier. Stands on the podium for the first time this season. First podium for that LCR Honda team in quite a while.
Yeah, I see Lucio Cetronello, the team manager there, celebrating, of course, a former Grand Prix winner himself.
I wonder if, I'm just trying to think if they've had a podium in MotoGP.
I don't think they have in
before.
MotoGP.
Colin Edwards takes the first podium for the Tech 3 Yamaha team in MotoGP this season.
Present the Winners' Award. We're going to ask Mr. Juan Mesqueda of the Spanish Tourism Board. He congratulates Edwards and Randy de Punier as well. And it's a debut MotoGP victory for Andrea Dovizioso.
Said it all, didn't it? Andrea Dovizioso wins his first Grand Prix, holds the trophy aloft. Well done, Andrea. Enjoy that one, won't you? Oh, it seems to throw.
There's Pete Benson, of course, the man behind Nicky Hayden's World Championship success, wasn't he?
Gentlemen, your respect, please, for the Italian national anthem.
Thumbs up from the HRC bosses as well. 2 wins in 3 races for Honda. Round of applause for Andrea Dovizioso. Well done to him. Well done to all 3 of them, in fact. First podium of the season for all of
I
them.
think they're joking about putting on sunglasses. I think Dovizioso says, perhaps we don't need them this weekend. Brilliant ride by Dovizioso. I mean, he had to contend with everything. He had to battle. He had to push a world champion into making a mistake, and then he had to fight off a really big challenge at the end.
But he's a world champion himself, Nick, isn't he?
Dead right.
Albeit in the 125cc category, but a very, very great rider indeed. And we know he's one for the future. Could he have just sealed himself his spot at Repsol Honda?
I think he has, and I think now he's broken the duck. You could see him winning another race before the end of the season as well.
Definitely.
Great for the championship, another winner. So that's 5 separate winners now in 10 rounds in the MotoGP World Championship. And I think that in itself is brilliant. A championship that was dead and buried. It's not doing